So despite weakness in the markets over the past 2 weeks, whereby the Federal Reserve have came out and said that they may keep rates higher for longer, even into next year as well, we have surprisingly still seen strength in some of the Singapore tech stocks, right? So what are some of the popular tech stocks whereby you can potentially position yourselves to ride some gains as we see some signs of a reversal right now? Hey guys, Joey here, top tier advisor, trader in Phillip Securities, and in this video, I'll be showing you 3 most popular Singapore tech stocks, and these 3 stocks are none other than AEM, UMS, and Franken. Well, we have seen some signs of reversal, some stability, and there could potentially be more upside, especially if we breach certain resistance level, which I'll cover in a bit. So watch this video all the way to the end if you don't know what these 3 stocks are doing, how are they looking right now, where could the potential targets be. Let's go on to talk about AEM before we move on to UMS, and then finally Franken. Let's go. Okay, so the first stock is AEM, one of those Singapore tech stocks that's pretty popular as well. And you can see that since last year when there were talks about rate hikes, we have been seeing selling, right, with what we call lower highs that were formed since last year, beginning of last year. Then we talk about rate hikes and inflation, you can see started to make lower highs. So it was pretty much in a downtrend with what we call lower highs, right? And over the past 4 to 5 months, thankfully, we have seen some sort of stability coming back. There are what we call some signs of the trend potentially starting to turn up. Why do I say that? Well, you can see that we have found some sort of a bottom somewhere at the beginning of the year, somewhere in February, March. We hit it to this level, about the $2.80, and since then we have found another higher support around that $3 mark. So instead of going lower and lower, we have found what we call a higher support level. It shows that buyers are starting to come back up to defend at higher prices, and we saw a couple of rebounds from this $3 as well. So that's where we can potentially see some signs of the trend starting to turn up, right, in terms of the lows and the highs. And we can also draw what we call a downward sloping channel resistance line. So you can see all this while we have been pretty much trading below this red line. So let me just remove all this for you. Right now you can see that this red line has been what we call a channel resistance connecting the highs, and you can see forming lower highs again. In fact, just a few months back in July, we touched, came down, and now we are back here at this what we call channel resistance, whereby some selling is coming back. So some sort of a selling still happening, but if we can break above this line right over here, if we can break above this downward sloping channel resistance line, that could be some signs of a clearer reversal just beginning to happen. So definitely you want to watch this as well, right? Maybe around the 360 level, if we can break that level, stay above it, that could be some signs of strength. So let me just remove all this again and go ahead to share with you what are some of the key targets whereby selling can actually come back. Well, I think that would be this level right here, and that would be the $4 level. So you can see, right, $4 is what we call a psychological resistance level. That is pretty much the range right now from $3 all the way up to that $4 we have seen over the past 4 to 5 months. Right over here from $3 to $4, you can see $4 is where we have seen selling coming back. You can see you got a pretty bearish candle, sold down, sold off, went all the way down again. Now we are pretty much making our way back up slowly, whereby some selling can come back near $4 again. But as I say, right, if we can stay above the 360, or if we can break that $4, well, that will be when some really good reversal signals can come back, and the uptrend can really start to take shape above that $4 level. So take note of this very key resistance at $4 level. And in terms of the moving averages, which is what we look for in terms of trend as well, you can see that since last year, as I mentioned, it has been pretty much in a downtrend, right? So the 100 days moving average, you can see the red line and the blue line, they are pretty much pointing down. So a bit of a downtrend since beginning of last year due to inflationary rate hikes and all that. But somewhere around July, right, just a few months back, we managed to see the longer term moving averages actually crossing back above one another again, right? So it's not a very clear uptrend yet, but as I say, there are indeed some signs of the trend kind of stabilizing and potentially starting to point up if we can stay above 360 and hopefully even break that $4 level. Okay, let's take a look at another stock that is called Franken, one of those popular Singapore tech stocks as well, whereby we have seen some strength coming back over the past 1 month. All right, so let's take a look at it right now. You can see that we are currently trading at about $1.14, and there are indeed some signs of a reversal in terms of the longer term trend turning up as well. Right, look at this. Over the past 1 year, we have found a bit of a support at about the 80 cents, rebounded. In fact, just 1-2 months back, we were right at 80 cents. We saw a pretty good rebound, and we broke this resistance. So it was pretty much consolidating from 80 cents to about 95, and we broke this 95 cents. You can see that that's where some upside actually happened. In fact, we have some targets that were drawn from 95 all the way up to that $1.20 key resistance level. Well, the 120 would be key, and it is where we are still seeing selling now, which is normal because over the past 1 year, right, we have touched a couple of times. Look at this, right? 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4, 5, 6, and we kind of sold off from that $1.20 level. So this is where some selling can happen. All right, we may attempt to eventually break that level, and if we can break this 120, that would be great. I would say that if that happens, there would be much more clearer signs of the uptrend just slowly taking shape as well. Right, from 120, we might push all the way up to $1.40, maybe a bit of resistance, and hopefully after breaking 140, that is where the uptrend can continue even further. All right, so this is Franken, right? There are indeed some signs of the trend, at least not pointing down. I mean, if you ask me, last year, look at this right here, whereby the 100 days moving average was breaking down below the 200 days moving average, prices below it. It was a very clear downtrend from beginning of 2022 all the way to maybe end of 2022, whereby we started to see the trend starting to flatten out. Not really pointing up, flatten out first, consolidating for a while, and now there are indeed some signs of it starting to turn up. But as I say, we need to break or breach some of those very key resistance level, and that would be 120. You want to set some alerts for that. 120, if that gives way, great. After 120, that would be about $1.40, which was pretty much the previous support level we have broken down from. Right, so this is Franken, one of those stocks that you can put in your watch list for potentially more upside, especially if those resistance that I mentioned gives way. Okay, so let's take a look at the next Singapore tech stock that is called UMS, right? One of those really popular Singapore tech stocks as well. All right, and it is trading at about $1.32. So in the previous video that I did for the Singapore tech stocks, I think we mentioned we were somewhere around here, whereby we broke this really very key resistance level around the $1.10 mark, right over here, whereby we sold off, traded below it for a couple of 1-2 months. Look at this, right? So swing up, swing down, swing down, swing up, consolidated, and when we broke this $1.10, there were some upside targets that were drawn as well from 110 all the way to around 135. So it seems like we have already headed to our target at 135, and there are some selling that is beginning to happen right now. So first of all, why is it $1.35 resistance level? Well, because you can see that since last year, 2022, there was the support. We have broken down. You can see we tested it, came back down, tested, came back down. So that's what we call a support turn resistance. And if we were to hit there again, which is what we're doing right now, that is where some selling can actually happen again. All right, but are there some signs of a reversal again in terms of the longer term trend? So as I mentioned, right, for the other two like AEM and also Franken, since last year there were signs of a downtrend because we formed what we call lower highs in terms of the moving averages as well. 100 days moving average went below the 200 days moving average, and it was pretty much a downtrend as well for UMS since last year. But somewhere around middle of this year or the beginning of this year, the signs of the downtrend has started to fade away, right? Kind of flatten out. There was some stability coming back, and the moving averages are starting to reverse back up. So you can see that the 200 days moving average and the 100 days moving average, we have managed to see a crossover back again with the red line going above the blue line. So I would say that if we can really break this 135, so that's a very key level, right? If we can break the 135, that would be where the uptrend can really start to form up much more clearly, right? From 135 maybe all the way up to that 155 level. That would be the next target after 1.35. Why? All right, well, because you can see that was where we were somewhere end of 2021. We touched about 150 to 155, consolidated a little bit, sellers came back, and that's where we started to see selling coming back. Alright, so 135 is key level. I think if that breaches, alright, great, the uptrend can really start to form up as well. Alright, and that's where you want to put the stock in your watch list to potentially ride more upside. So let's take a look at what UMS is saying on my OneGT system. So I have a system called OneGT, One Good Trend, whereby it kind of like alerts us to stocks like this and also guides us on entry and exit. So you can find out a little bit more on this system or the entire One Good Trend framework or strategy behind the system, right? You can attend one of those free webinars or web class where I'll showing you a little bit more. Alright, click on the link around this video or below it. I'll place the link there. You can attend it to learn a little bit more. Alright, so let's take a look at UMS, whereby we had a couple of bearish and bullish signals since last year. So as I mentioned, last year was pretty much a bit of a downtrend. So you see bullish signals in 2022 started to push up, and then we got this bearish signal somewhere in September last year, and then we started to sell all the way down from like about 125 to about 85 cents, got the exit, and started to see a bit of a rebound again. So let's take a look at where we are right now. So a couple of bearish signals you can see beginning of the year, we sold off after some red bearish signals coming out, but somewhere around like June, July, right, that was where we started having what we call bullish signals. So bullish signals, what we call a green arrow pointing up, another one right here, another one recently on the 15th of September last month, and you can see that when this bullish signal comes out, of course the trend bar is green in color. As I say, there are some signs of the trend starting to turn up, right, and that's where we have seen a bit of a strength coming back in this company, right, where it pushed from like about $1 all the way to about $1.35 right now, right? So there are no exits from the most recent bullish signal on the 15th of September. So as I say, if you can break the 135, great. Potentially that's where this bullish signal can continue to play out, maybe all the way to like 155, 150. We might see an exit there, and that is where it could guide us to get out as well. Right, so this is what we call a system that helps us and keeps trading much more systematic. So if you want to find a little bit more on this system or the entire trend trading strategy, the One Good Trend strategy, attend one of those free web classes I'm still running. Click on the link below around this video. So if you like this video, guys, go ahead to give me a like and of course smash the subscribe button as well so that you will not miss out on any videos like this, right? So thank you so much for watching all the way here. So I think we have covered like 3 Singapore tech stocks, AEM, Franken, and finally UMS. I hope you now have a clearer picture of where we are right now, what are some of the key levels to take note of, and where could we potentially see the uptrend really start to form up fast. Right, so Joey here, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in one of those live web class. If you have not done so or registered yet, go ahead, click on the link below. I'll see you soon.